Hey gals and guys, it is Phil Larson, and today we are going to listen to a replay of episode 1, just to bring us back and to remind myself of the beginning of this podcast, why it was started, and what's the motivation behind it. I found myself listening to this podcast, this particular episode, sometime last week. I don't know what prompted it, but I guess I just needed a reminder, and we always need those reminders. And I was reminded that, man, I still struggle with laziness, and I still struggle with motivation and with comparing myself to other people who seem to me anyway that they are progressing faster or more in the same career that I am in. And I'm here to tell you, now it's been over 5.5 years since this episode first aired, that I am further along in my career than I was when I first recorded this, and there's still more comparing to do. It doesn't stop. You think you reach a threshold and go, okay, now I can rest, and maybe some of you can, and that's great, and maybe I have some work to do there, but there's always someone else to compare to. Well, I want to make this level. I want to get to this point in my career, and it's easy to get distracted from your own personal goals. I mean, goals are good. Make them about you. You don't know their situation, and you don't know the people you're comparing to, what their goals are. You can only focus on yourself, and as I say in every episode, it starts with you. That applies here as well. So anyway, check out this episode. Be reminded, as I was, of the motivation behind this podcast and the importance of rewiring our brain and the importance of leaving the comparisons behind and really just focus on yourself. As you listen to this episode, you might also found it interesting or hilarious how a voice changes in 5.5 years. I sure find that very interesting. I don't think I sound like myself, but at one point this was me. Anyway, a quick plug, if you are looking for online counseling from the comfort of your own home, from the comfort of your own smart device, BetterHelp.com has teamed up with your Motivational High Five to provide you with 10% off your first month. Sign up at BetterHelp.com/YMH5 and you'll get matched with a licensed counselor in less than 24 hours. It is cheaper than the average in-person therapist, and this might work for you. It may not work for everyone, but it really might work for you. And to give it a try, just check out BetterHelp.com/YMH5, the number 5. BetterHelp.com/YMH5. Okay, let's do this. Hey gals and guys, it's your host Phil Larson, and this is your Motivational High Five. On hope, let's do this. Welcome to the first podcast I've ever done. This podcast is designed to be short and to the point, motivational material around 5 minutes, along with exercises that'll hopefully motivate you to start telling yourself some positive narratives and to thinking good things about yourself and wishing good things for yourself. First things first, I am Phil Larson. I was never popular in school. I wasn't unpopular, but I never had a ton of friends. The doctor that delivered me looked into my eyes and told my mom that I was too pretty to be a boy. I was always insecure around girls. I had one girlfriend for 2 months in the 9th grade before I met my wife. What I do for a profession, I'm a composer. My songs have been used by Toyota and Panasonic, to name a couple. I also work physically at and collaboratively with a video production and creative marketing firm called The Story Shop. One reason I'm doing this podcast, I need some motivation. I see people in my industry that haven't been doing this as long as I have, and they're passing me up. And they're finding success, and I look at them and I compare myself to them. And when I do that, I get stuck in this sort of fantasy. I wish I were them, and I daydream how I would do things differently if I had that success. If you find yourself coming to that same conclusion, then you might find yourself lacking some motivation as well. And if that is true, we could be onto something here. We both need this. I love to sleep in and I love to take my time. I get stuck scrolling endlessly through Facebook's news feed, and I've fallen in love with this narrative. You see, I've given myself an easy out by repeating that I'm not an early riser, that I'm a night owl. It's just not who I am. And another narrative that I've been letting define myself is I'm not an organized person. I love wearing the badge of honor saying that I'm this creative mind. I can't be tied down. I'm mysterious. And by saying I can't be understood, it is this cool sounding way to let myself off the hook and become okay with being lazy. Guys, I'm lazy. Another negative narrative that I've had to battle, and maybe even more so doing this podcast, goes like this. I was a part of a job that ended in such a way that really did a number on my voice. I chose to believe this negative narrative that I don't have much to offer. And so I responded in such a way that for the next 3 years or so, I kind of remained in the background and played it safe. I lost a lot of hope and it dictated a lot of my actions. I've put forth a lot of effort to make these negative things that I've learned to believe about myself come to be reality. But I got some hope, guys. And the negative things that people have told us, the things that we've come to believe that have held us back. The newest research in brain chemistry tells us the more that's hammered into us, the stronger these pathways, these negative pathways become. And they become our go-to reactions to situations. But the hope lies in the power that we have to rewire our brains, because the research tells us as we begin to tell our own story and as we begin to own maybe the negative things that did happen, but also be able to recognize what was untrue about those negative narratives, we can actually reinforce a positive rewiring of our brain. So these pathways that have become so strong, we can start battling those with good wiring. And the way that works, research tells us, is either by telling our own story, when you're able to do that around people who are safe and who love you, but also the brain lights up in the same way as when we listen to other people's stories. If you think this is just unsound, unscientific fluff, then okay. And maybe this isn't the podcast for you, and that's fine. But if you're willing to hope for positive change in your life, I hope you hang out with me, and I hope, because hope is a motivating state of being. When we hope, we begin to rewire our brains into believing new narratives. In every episode, I want to end with a positive self-talk note, a way that you can actively participate. So I want you to look into a mirror. If you're in a car, please pull over and look into the rearview mirror or the sun visor mirror. If you're at home and you're doing your makeup or brushing your teeth, stop for a second and just stare. Me, I have my phone camera up and flipped to selfie mode. Those negative narratives, they're loud, aren't they? We are going to start telling ourselves some positive ones, except you're going to say it in first person. So look into the mirror and say, I hope for good things for my life today. Go for it. Did you do it? If not, wait till you have space to do it. You'll be doing yourself a favor because you deserve good things in your life. Thank you for joining me for these 5 minutes. I want to remind you that you have the power to take back your life's narrative and to make it positive, but no one else does. It starts with you. And there you have it, episode number 1. Again, if you've been with me from the beginning or if you've listened to all of the episodes, I want to hear from you and I want to give you a shout out. Send me an email at phillarsonmusic@gmail.com. phillarsonmusic@gmail.com, or just go to phillarson.net and use the contact form there. And if you want some unconventional ways to support the podcast, you can stream my music from any music streaming platform. You can buy it online. buy downloads or whatever, but streaming it is a good way to do that. And it's just instrumental music. There's some covers. There's some instrumental covers of pop songs that you might find interesting as well. And also a ton of originals that you hear in the background of this podcast all throughout. So search my name, Phil Larson. Another way to support the podcast is to subscribe to my wife's and my YouTube channel, our kids' YouTube channel called Kylie Makes It, Kylee Makes It. It is an arts and craft with a bit of a storyline. If you think Blippi crossed with Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross and Blue's Clues. Put those all together and you get Kylie Makes It. We're having some really good luck with the YouTube algorithm right now. Getting about 300,000 views a day. It's pretty incredible. Check us out, Kylie Makes It, and go to kyliemakes.com, and there are lesson plans and cutouts and printables and things and available for each video from there as well to take it a little further, especially if you're homeschooling or if you're leading a daycare or something like that. There are some interactive elements, or you're just a parent that wants to bring a YouTube channel alive. I don't think there's much else like that out there, so Kylie Makes It. And then finally, if you're a creative type who is looking for a library, an affordable library of assets of music or video footage, stock photo, website templates, even graphic templates, Photoshop templates, After Effects templates, fonts, and at the same time you're looking for that and you're looking for a way to support the podcast, use Envato Elements. It's where my music is licensed from, but also Kylie uses it. We use it for Kylie Makes It. And it is $16.50 a month, which is so cheap to have access to a library of all of those things. It's an all-inclusive library of all of those different types of assets. So it's pretty amazing. If you go to supportwithelements.com, that will take you to my reference link where you can sign up. Supportwithelements.com. The library is called Envato Elements. So if you go to supportwithelements.com. Okay, and to take us out, I am going to play the Kylie Makes It theme song. I think it has a hopeful message that applies to us. Okay, here it is, written and performed by yours truly. It's short. And turn off that speed boost. Thanks, friends. All right.